This week on the Analog Circle Podcast, we get the official specs for the Xbox Series X. Oh my gosh! Is Sony working on a PlayStation 5 Pro? A Resident Evil 3 demo is on the way. We get more proof that Horizon Zero Dawn is coming to PC. And the wonderful 101 gets a release date. All of these stories and a few more in episode 117. Oh man, I'm your host Kiaun Mitchell, and it feels so great to be here. My goodness, we got a lot to cover here, guys. But before we get into it, I want to let you guys know that you can find the show over on several different platforms, whether you're on Stitcher, iTunes, you're over on Audio Mac, you're over on iHeartRadio. It's everywhere. Just go out there, type in the Analog Circle Podcast, and you will be good. Now, guys, like I said, whoa, what an exciting week worth of gaming news. It was so exciting. But before we get into it, we have to get into, which is always going to be my favorite part of the podcast, and that is the feedback section. Man, the feedback section was on fire this week. Oh my gracious. I'm very, very, very grateful. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the feedback section. But before we do, hold on. I do this every single time. If you, the listener, would love to be a part of this section of the podcast, you can do this two different ways. You can either call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard. Yes, sir. Or you can email the show, and the email address is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and get into the first feedback section, question and answer and all of that good stuff. And it comes from my man, my dude. I haven't heard from this guy in a while, Mr. Free Fly Ferret. Now, the title of his email is Series Not to... Oh yeah, that brother dropped the F-bomb. I dig it, brother. I dig it. Series not 2Fs. I'm going to go ahead and say that, brother. We going to keep it PG. But his email says, my brother, so good to have you back. I appreciate that, Free Fly. I truly do, man. He says, I'm thinking Microsoft is not really concerned with what PlayStation prices their console. I think they have a well thought out roadmap and plan which goes beyond this generation. Game Pass and xCloud are their Trojan horses into your home, and by next year sometime, if a game comes out, you'll be able to play it on tablet, phone, smart TV, Xbox One, X, Series X, etc. It will be up to the consumer to decide how much they want to spend on performance in the end. Pretty much how the PC market has always been. Play it on a clunker or play it on the best of the best. I think they'll knock the price of the One X down, bring out the Series X, and then maybe every year or two come out with another console. Woohoo! Thoughts? Hey, Free Fly Ferret. Brother, listen, man, it's been a long time, like I said, since I've heard from you. It was so good to hear from you, brother. Thank you for sending me this email. I truly appreciate it. And let's get into your email, man. So now this is the thing. Now, see, this is why this section is so important to me, because I get to hear you guys' thoughts and we can discuss it. So me personally, Free Fly. Now, I don't think they should come out with the console every 2 years. I think that would be too much saturation. I mean, if you think about it, just think about Sega for that. Sega, they would bringing out something seemed like every 6 months at one time. But I do agree with you as far as their roadmap goes. Them having xCloud and Game Pass, that's going to be very lucrative for them, especially the xCloud, because just like you said, that opens them up to a whole new market. And that new deal that they did with Samsung, where they're going to be on the whatever the new phone is going to be, that just opens up floodgates worth of possible customers. So like you said, either they can play it on a tablet, they can play it on their phone, they can play it on their X, they can play it on their Series X. Even all the way to the OG Xbox One, the one I got, the thick bone. Oh yeah, the thick bone version, bruv. I'm still rocking it. Can even play some of the games on that up to a point. So you're right, that's definitely a big Trojan horse for them. Being able to give people so many options, because we know at the end of the day, it's never about how much hardware they can sell. It's now shifting outside of games, because it's always been about how many games they can sell. That really drives their bottom line. Where they see the most money is how many games they can sell on that platform. So not only do they have the games that are working for them, that can work in their favor with so many different services or so many places that people can pick up their games on, as far as like platforms, but they have the services now. Game Pass, what an amazing service that is. You can say what you want about Game Pass, but that is an unquestionable, amazing value for the money. And then you bring into that xCloud, being able to play on so many phones and different devices, man, sky is the limit, but I truly think that, they shouldn't do it every 2 years. I think, if they're gonna do it, hey man, maybe every 4 or 5, but it's no right or wrong answer, but free fly ferret, as I always said, or like I just said, brother, man, I'm starting to sweat, brother. It's been a heck of a week. I truly appreciate you writing in, man. It's just great to hear from you, and please don't let it be your last time writing in. Thank you so much, brother. Man, now I got to get into another email here, man. I told you we was on fire this week, dog. It was amazing. So this email comes from my dude, man. I haven't heard from him on the show front in a while, but Mike J, what's going on, brother? It's so good to get an email from you. This brother was calling me, texting me, making sure I was good, asking me how everything was going when I wasn't recording. So for that, I truly, just appreciate that, man. It means a lot to me, Mike J. But neither here nor there. We ain't got to bring that up, even though I just did. But let's go ahead and get to your email, brother. Now, the name of his email is Show Feedback Mid-Gen Upgrade. All right, here we go. He says, hello, Kiaun. What's going on, Mike J? He says, just figured I'd officially add my feedback to the show in regards to your question of the week regarding mid-gen console upgrades. I think this might be the first generation where they've actually gotten it right. The concept itself isn't actually anything new, as historically we've seen new versions of systems launch as well as add-ons. For instance, systems like the N64 RAM upgrade. That's right, man. I forgot about that guy, dog. Did that even make it to the States? I don't even know. The 32X or even the CD add-ons for systems if you really want to go deep. That's right, man. I'm telling you, Sega, they had a new product out every 90 days, man. But let me get back on track, though. He says, however, this time it really seems that they actually cared. There have been no games released exclusively, quote, exclusively for the upgraded hardware yet. And many games have been released that take advantage of the better hardware, or even going so far as to update games released prior to take advantage. Previously, we've seen a small amount of games that would come out that could benefit from the stronger systems, but many times these were exclusive to the to the new system, and due to the lack of scaling, developers did not want to limit sales by targeting a smaller installed base that bought an upgrade. Now, almost every game released will run better on the upgraded system, but it still is playable on the launch hardware. Very good point. He continues to say, being able to scale games like this makes me hopeful for the next generation, especially with initiatives like Microsoft's Smart Delivery. We going to talk about the Smart Delivery, brother. You are right. That is something incredible. But he says, sorry for the long email, but to sum it up, I like the concept and hope it continues. Those who want to upgrade can do so and get the very best, and those who don't upgrade can still play the newest games coming out. It's a win for both sides. Keep up the awesome work on the show. Mike J, brother, man. Good grief. I appreciate this, man. Thank you for the email. Thank you for everything that you've done for me personally. Truly, truly appreciate it. But let's go ahead and get into your email, brother, because it's very interesting. Now, Mike J, you brought up some excellent points, especially the scaling, because you're right. The concept is not new, but the way they can implement it is, like you said, they can take advantage of the new hardware, whether it's, the frame rate, the resolution, or even load times, but they can also make it so the older hardware can still play the newest software. It just won't have, the bells and whistles like the more powerful consoles. So it seems like to me, Mike J, that you are on the side that you wouldn't mind these mid-gen upgrades, because it doesn't exclude anybody. Like we were talking about with Sega, having the 32X that came out, or the Sega CD. Those were specific games that were released for that add-on. And like you just said, Mike J, now they make it so, it'll work on the older consoles, but you're not going to get 4K resolution. You might not get 1080p 60 frames. You might get 1080p 30 frames. But if you want that premium experience, then you have to get it on the higher end, mid-gen upgrade, similar to, like you said, with the PC. It's the same thing. So I think you're right. We might be merging in that space a little bit more. But, like I said, Mike J, I hear you, brother. I think you're definitely right in what you said. It's definitely a lot of ways you can look at it, and they are doing it the right way. Nobody's being left behind, at least not for the close future. Like they said, I think it wasn't Phil Spencer. I forget the guy's name. I'm having a brain fart. I can't think of his name, but the guy did say that it won't be any exclusives on the next generation for at least 1 to 2 years. So that you have time to go ahead, save up the money to be able to continue to get the best experience ever. But like I said, Mike J, I can't thank you enough, brother. Thank you so much for this email. I love it, man. It's just great to hear from you guys. So, last but not in any shape, form, or fashion, man, definitely not least, I want to switch it over to Mr. Vaughn. So without further ado, Vaughn, take it away, my brother.
Kiaun, it's Vaughn again. Short answer, basically, I think that they should make the new console next generation, not this one, next one, modular, like PCs. Let us buy the components, let us switch it out, makes them more money on their end, I think, and then for us, it makes us have that ability to personalize our own consoles the way we want. And for people who don't want to do that, that's fine. Keep it the way it is. If you're satisfied, you don't have to upgrade. Just keep it until the next console does come out. And I think this will be great instead of bringing out mid-generation upgrades. All right, my Kiaun question for you this week. What do you think will happen first? Stadia shutting down, GameStop closing its doors, or a next-gen multi-plat game where everybody plays on the next-gen, on the PS5 and the new Xbox Series? Everybody playing together, PC, Xbox, Sony, Nintendo. Which one of those things do you think will happen first? All right, my brother. Can't wait till the next show. I'm out. Peace.
My man, Vaughn, I want to thank you for this voicemail, brother. Man, it's always great to hear from you, brother. It truly is always a pleasure, my brother. But, I want to get into your email. I mean, see this, brother? I just said your voicemail, brother, but then I'll turn around and say email anyway, man. Pardon me. Excuse me. But your voicemail, brother. Now, very interestingly, Vaughn, I heard the whole voicemail, brother, and I want to thank you for your very kind words in your message, man. I truly appreciated it, brother. But, I want to talk about what you were saying. You said that these not this generation, and you specifically said not the PlayStation 5 and not the Xbox Series X generation. I think that's going to be what, 9th generation we're about to be coming up on. You said the next generation, maybe since they're going down this road, you were saying that it's not something that you really want as far as the mid-gen upgrades, but since it seems like this is a road that they're going to continue down, that in the next generation, maybe make it so guys can go out there, get fans to, quiet the system down or be able to upgrade the system as they go, similar to the PC model where they wouldn't have to necessarily come out with an actual mid-gen upgrade, which could possibly save us money because we'll have the box. All we got to do is possibly switch out the graphics card or switch out the processor. I mean, I don't know how deep we would have to go, as far as that goes. But to me, Vaughn, and this is why this is so great to hear from you guys, like I said, is because we can have a conversation. I understand that I'm reading what you guys said, so it's not like a back and forth conversation, but at least we can get an understanding of how each other feels about the certain subject at hand. But for me, Vaughn, oh man, that kind of, to me, and I can only speak for me, Vaughn, this is not for anybody else, not for yourself either, brother, but I wouldn't want to go down that path, brother, because then by that time, we might as well just be PC gamers at that point, brother. Having to switch out the different components and having to switch out fans, maybe RAM, memory, processors. It's like, nah, brother, I don't want to do that, Vaughn. Come on, brother. I just want to plug and play. That's all I want to do, man. But for some people out there, it could be appealing. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be, but for me, that's when it just crosses over to basically the PC territory. And that's something that I don't even want to be bothered with. That's why I just love the consoles, because it's plain and simple. I get the console, I hook the HDMI up to the TV, and we gone off to the races, brother. But, I do want to, get into your other part. And once again, thank you so much for this, Vaughn. But your other question was, what would happen first? I believe you said Stadia shutting down, GameStop closing its doors, or a next-gen multiplayer game for all who would be able to play multiplayer together. That would be like PC, Xbox, PlayStation guys, Nintendo guys, everybody under the same roof. What would happen first? Well, I can say that now this is going to be a bit of a cheap answer, but we see that Minecraft has a little bit of crossplay where everybody can play together except for the PlayStation 4. I mean, the Nintendo Switch, you can play with the Xbox guys, PC guys. So I think that that's a little more closer to a reality. I think that's closer than we may think, because crossplay has been becoming a lot more popular over the last couple months, maybe a year now. But then we have GameStop. Now, GameStop, I don't think that they're going to go anywhere because, who is it? Danny Pena, on Gamertag Radio, he had an interview with some GameStop guys where they're making some lounges or making it more of a not an intimate gathering, but where gamers can just come and almost like a cafe kind of deal. So, I mean, they're trying to go in a different direction to keep the doors open, even though they are struggling. I just read a article where they were talking about that managers are being fired. So some managers have to take on triple the stores, and they're trying to cut down on employees to save money. So don't get me wrong. They are on their last legs, as it seems. But then we come to Stadia. Oh my gosh. Stadia, brother. Oh, trouble. Because it was, another article that I've read, where it was saying that, developers, when Stadia has come to certain developers and asked them to put games on their platform, the developers have been reporting saying that Stadia hasn't given them enough incentive to put their games on their platform because they're not offering them anything special or like I said, nothing to really get them, I guess, motivated to put their games on the platform. Of course, you have some of the bigger houses that are doing it. Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be there, as well as I'm sure other big ones. But it is developers out there that are saying that it just doesn't seem like it would be worth the time and the hassle that it would take to have it be able to be put on their service. So I'm going to go with, this is a long answer I gave. My bad, listeners, but, I would have to go with, I'm going to say Stadia. Stadia might be the first one to get crippled and be gone, brother. And this is not because I have anything against Stadia. I just don't see how they're going to be able to turn it around. Right now, the people that were early adopters into that ecosystem, they are not happy right now. I'm not saying they can't turn the ship around, but man, it's looking very bleak. Both of those things outside of the multi-plat. Anyway, I'm about to be on a whole nother tangent. Let me wrap this up. That's my answer, Vaughn. I think it's going to be Stadia that gets X'd first. I could be wrong, but brother, I truly appreciated this voicemail, and please, by all means, brother, keep them coming. Now, guys, man, that was just a lit section. I've never had that many people at once. It's been a long time to get that much feedback. And it's, man, so appreciated, brother. So appreciated. But, just getting back on track. I'm not gonna hold you guys too long. I know I say this every single week. We're gonna try to get out of here in an hour. We're gonna go for it one more time. But before we get into this amazing gaming news that we got this week, I'm so amped. I'm so amped to go over it. I want to let you guys know very quickly, I have basically been playing, Batman, Telltale game, which now it is, chapter 2, not chapter 2, what is it? Is it chapter 2 or episode 2? I don't know. The second season of, the Telltale Batman game is available now for people with games with gold. And I'm gonna tell y'all, please, by all means, download that game. That game has been fantastic to me. Now keep in mind, I'm a guy who loves the games that come from, like, who is it? David Cage, his type of games, Heavy Rain, Detroit Become Human. Those kind of games, the kind of like point and click and choose kind of games. I love those, man. And this is what that is. It's just great. I mean, the different, what is it, man? Man, what is it? The different decisions that you can make in the game and the outcomes, the gameplay. Well, the gameplay is very simple. It's quick time events. It's nothing amazing, but it's just such a solid game because of the story. It's very narrative, very narrative, heavy. You know, and being able to see him as Batman, then Bruce Wayne, seeing how he has to weigh the two out. It's a great experience, especially if you can download it, not necessarily for free because you are paying for the games with gold, but just to be able to hit the download button and have it in your stable of games. Fantastic, man. I'm on the the third chapter out of 5, and it has had me on the edge of my seat. Just a fantastic game. But man, that's about it. Not gonna harp on this a lot because I want to get into the gaming news. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I'm gonna try to get us out of here in the next, what I got about 36 minutes. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but we gonna strive for it. But let's go ahead without further ado, and let's get into the gaming news that went down. So Microsoft, oh my gosh, let the info fly this week on a random Monday. Nothing was going on Monday. Matter of fact, I gotta shout out, whoa. Before we go any further, I'm gonna lose my voice by the end of this podcast. I can already feel it. I gotta shout out Mr. Cody Clark. That brother sent me an email. I was on the road going down to North Carolina. That brother, I mean, I went to a rest area. I was sitting to take my DOT, my half an hour DOT break. I was feeling semi-sleepy, but I was okay. But he sent me just an email out the blue. Matter of fact, I gotta get this guy his credit, man. Hold on. Let me pull up this brother's email real quick. Cause this really changed my daggone day. If I can find it. Here we go. Cody said, he said this, the title of his email was "All We Know Is What They Want Us to Know." He says, and sometimes that is enough. Though I will be curious what Sony will share and how people will compare, or contrast and say X is better than Y for all of this stuff. Will it be another case of, yeah, sure, the system is amazing, but why get it if you don't have any good games, yada, yada. Man, Cody Clark, listen, this guy's, thank you so much for the email too, cause this set my whole day in a full-blown positive mode, cause he sent me the specs. I didn't even know this had happened. He sent me a Wired, I think it was from Wired or Kotaku or somewhere, where he sent me these specs, and oh my gosh, man, whole day was just great from that point on. So let's go ahead and let's just talk about it. Wanted to give Cody a shout out. Thank you again, brother. Made my goddamn day. So now hold on. Okay. Oh yeah. They talked about the specs. I'm all over the place, guys. Bear with me. I'm everywhere. But they released the specs of their upcoming next generation console, putting all the rumors to rest. So one of the features, amongst many, but one of the features in the console is called, and I quote, smart delivery, which Microsoft describes as, quote, this technology empowers you to buy a game once and know that whether you are playing it on the Xbox One or Xbox Series X, you are getting the right version of the game on whatever Xbox you're playing on. Says we're making the commitment to use smart delivery on all our exclusive Xbox Game Studios titles, including Halo Infinite, ensuring you have to purchase a title once in order to play the best available version for whichever Xbox console they choose to play on. End of quote. Man, okay, let me keep going. Now, Microsoft also said this tech will be available to all devs and publishers and will let them decide if they want to use it. The console will also, wait. Before we get into that, how incredible is that? This is why it's so important that it's competition. Microsoft got destroyed this generation when you compare it to the PlayStation 4. It has gotten outsold 2-1. Possibly 2.5-1. I don't even know how the heck that math even makes sense. But not only that, Nintendo, the Switch, has allegedly caught up with them and surpassed them. So Microsoft has gotten beaten this generation. But look at what defeat makes. They are making it so any of their games. Now, of course, this is on paper. We have to take it as being on paper. I believe it. I want to believe it. But others may be a little more skeptical. But This means that any game that you get on the big bone Xbox like I have right now, all the way up to the Series X, you're going to get the right game for your console, which means you don't even have to worry about remasters. Remasters should be a null and void thing in next generation, because as it stands, like they said, Microsoft said all of their first party games, including Halo Infinite, which is going to quite possibly be one of the biggest games, no, I would say it's one of the biggest games of the year that they have in their stable. They are going to make sure that you get the very, very best. The best performance, best graphics, the best frame rates if you get it on the Series X. But you are not exiled if you have the original Xbox One. This is such an amazing feature. I mean, it really blew me away, man, just to see that this is what Microsoft is doing. They are being so consumer friendly right now with this feature that if Sony even thinks about, I'm not saying that Sony can't pull it off. They are the juggernauts. They are the guys right now that are running the gaming industry. They have earned that. But what I am saying is that if Sony comes out with the PlayStation 5 and then they say, well, you have to get The Last of Us Remake in order to get all of these features on the PlayStation 5 versus just having to take your PlayStation 4 disc and put it into your PlayStation 5 and it automatically downloads the textures and all of the other stuff that it needs to do to make sure that it's an upgraded version, then I think that could not go over so well versus, I mean, I guess in the gaming sphere of things, man. Y'all had to pardon me. I'm too excited, man. Maybe I need to calm down. But I just thought this was such a great feature. But this wasn't the only thing that Microsoft announced. Now, the console will also support all 4 generations of Xbox. So that's the original, the OG Xbox, the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, and of course, the Xbox Series X. Now, Phil Spencer said this, and I quote, "Our commitment to compatibility means existing Xbox One games, including backwards compatible Xbox 360 and original Xbox games, look, and play better than ever before. Your favorite games, including titles in Xbox Game Pass, benefit from steadier frame rates, faster load times, and improved resolution and visual fidelity, all with no developer work required. Your Xbox One gaming accessories, man, but well, before we even get to that though, but he did say your Xbox accessories also come forward with you." End of quote. So this just, man, I mean, once again, they are just out here. Phil Spencer, like I said, I have had my doubts about this guy. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I wasn't upset with the direction that it looked like Xbox was going in. But Phil coming out and saying and actually confirming, because some of this stuff we have heard already. So some people want to downplay it like, oh, that's not really a surprise. We already knew that. Man, darn that. This is official. That's why I'm so excited. Anybody can say this and that and the third, and it ends up not being true. How many times has that happened? But this time we have real confirmation from Phil Spencer, who is saying that it's going to be backwards compatible with all 4. When the X comes out, all of the consoles are going to be compatible with the Series X, and it's going to help with the load times. It's going to have better resolution, frame rates. It's going to be great. And we know that Game Pass, it's so many games that are in that service that are going to just take advantage of this. This is pro-consumer as I don't know what, man. Just fantastic being able to have maybe an older game like Ninja Gaiden back on the Xbox, having it on the Xbox Series X. I'm not saying it's going to do a just crazy numbers of frame rates, but just to think that it's going to be up-resed, it's going to play better, look a little better. This was the stuff that Sony talked about. I don't know if any of you guys remember this, but back during the PlayStation 2 era, Sony was saying that the PlayStation 2 would be able to do this with the PlayStation 1 games when it was backwards compatible. Well, we all saw how that came out, and it didn't come out quite like they said. But it has already been shown with the Xbox One X that these things have taken place. The frame rates have gotten better. The resolutions have gotten better. Digital Foundry has been out there talking about this stuff. So it's legit. So now that we know that, just being able to go back in your vault, booting up some of your older games to play them on the Series X just to see what the frame rate is going to be or what the resolution is going to be is just so exciting to me. Now, that's not all that he said. Like I said, even on top of that, all of your accessories come with you. All of them. So that means that and we heard this before, it's not new information, but it's just confirmed that you can bring all of your like me. I just got this, I didn't just get it. I think I've had it like 2 years and it's still in the box. I got this Thrustmaster, wheel, this, driving wheel, a TSXW driving wheel, something like that, still in the box, but it makes me feel good that if I ever open it, I can plug it up to the Series X, maybe play some Forza on it. I can bring my old joysticks over to the Xbox Series X, saving me money on the purchase of the Series X because I don't have to get any extra controllers to start with, knowing that I'll be able to play my older games because we know that at the beginning of every generation, it's slow. It's not a lot of games coming out. And this generation has just been an amazing ton of games after games after games. So while we're waiting for those games to come out, we know that we can even see some benefits when we're playing maybe the regular Xbox One games on the Series X to help us to get through those low days or low months when there's nothing really coming out. This is just fantastic. Now let's move on because it's some more information that was dropped. Now the console, it will have 12 teraflops of GPU performance. That was something that a lot of people did not think was going to be true. A lot of PC guys were like, that ain't never going to happen. That's no way. It's no way they're going to put that much power into the console. Impossible. All of a sudden, in this Wired article, 12 teraflops of GPU performance confirmed. Now it continues. A custom designed CPU based on AMD's Zen 2 and Radeon RDNA 2 architecture. It's going to have an NVMe SSD, which according to Phil Spencer, with this SSD, quote, nearly every aspect of playing games is improved, end of quote. Now the console will support 8K gaming and frame rates up to 120 frames per second. Now pause for a second. Hold on. Now 8K. Now I think, whoa. I don't know if we're going to get 8K resolution on, I don't know, like these big AAA games. I don't know if it's going to be 8K. It doesn't have to be 8K. It's great to know that it's possible. I think it'll be for more so like indie titles, something that's not as demanding, but 8K, just knowing that the console has 8K capabilities is amazing. And the 120 frames per second. Wow. I think that, man, I'm so excited. It's just, y'all don't understand. It's just great information to me this week. But I think that somewhere they were saying Moon Studios. Now don't quote me on this, but I believe I read somewhere where they were saying Ori and the Will of the Wisp could run at 120 frames per second. Is that true? I honestly don't know. I could have read it wrong. Like I said, I could have been daydreaming when I thought I read that, but I'm sure I heard that somewhere. Now, whether or not it happens, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, it looks incredible, and I can't wait to get that game later on this month. It's going to be an amazing experience. But I think games like that might not be out of the possibility of being able to run at 120 frames per second. My goodness. Now, Microsoft also said that they are partnered with the HDMI forum as well as the TV manufacturers to enable auto low latency mode, and the console will support HDMI 2.1, which should reduce input lag and smooth out visuals in games on TVs. My goodness. And it will feature hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing. And one of the, man, this was another one. One of the dopest features is the quick resume for multiple games. The console is also gonna have variable shading rates, which allow the Series X to, quote, prioritize individual effects and specific game characters or important environmental objects, end of quote. Basically, I think what that variable shading meant is in the background, or, let's say, I think I heard someone say like power lines. Take power lines, for instance. You're not really looking at them so much, so they can actually take some of the resources off of the power lines and actually put them in more areas where the player would actually be able to see, the effects firsthand, where they could, make the graphics better. Yeah, the other thing, y'all had to pardon me, man. Good grief. Let me calm down. Okay. All right. But really quickly, I want to back up, right, to the quick resume feature, because to be able to switch back and forth between multiple games, quote, almost instantly would be unbelievable. Being able to go back. We already have the feature now. Some people, I don't know what they're mad about. They're like, that's not new. Who cares? Who asked for this feature? I'm like, dude, it's pretty darn cool for me to go back to my game that I left off at, had to go out to work, be able to hit the button, start the game back up, and I'm right back where I left off. I think that's so darn great. Instead of having to start back over, seeing all of the splash screens, having to wait for the loading screens and all of that stuff. But imagine being able to do it with multiple games. Oh my gosh. What an insane feature. Sheesh. Now, one thing, because this was pretty much all they had said, but the one thing that stood out to me was, this is according to PC Gamer. Now, all of this tech on paper, now we gotta say paper, it makes Series X faster than a GeForce RTX 2080 Super. And this is coming from PC Gamer, who is saying this, a 2080 Super. This is all PC guys talk about. The 20 series, the 2060, the 2080, the 2080 Ti. It's like you have a console. Nobody knows how much it's going to be. Could be between $500 and $600. We don't know. But to be able to buy a console that is rivaling, did I say that right? Rivaling? Yeah, I think I did. Rivaling a 2080 Super for that price point, possibly $500 or $600. I don't know how a PC guy could ever deny that and say that's trash. I have a 30-something series coming out and it's going to kill that. It's like, it's getting so close. Man, these next gen consoles are going to be incredible. But man, this info had me so stoked this week. I couldn't wait to talk to you guys about it. This is just amazing information, man. But we're going to move on to the next story because, man, we ain't going to make it out of here in an hour. God dang it. It ain't going to happen, guys. But let's move on because, matter of fact, this next story, it just goes into the Xbox Series X even more so, because let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Now, because this news right here, it just like I said, it just continues to make the Series X look remarkable, because in a tweet, the official Cyberpunk 2077 account tweeted out, and I quote, "Gamers should never be forced to purchase the same games twice or pay for upgrades. Owners of hashtag Cyberpunk 2077 for Xbox One will receive the Xbox Series X upgrade for free when available." End of quote. CD Projekt Red, do you know what you get for that, brothers? That's all I can do is applaud you guys. This is so amazing to me. Shout out to Vaughn too. This is just so amazing to me, because here it is. CD Projekt Red, one of the biggest games of possibly this generation, definitely this year, is saying that that feature that Microsoft has in their box, we're going to take advantage of it. And you guys that buy the version, an Xbox version, if you guys decide to upgrade later to the X, well, the Series X, then guess what? You'll be able to play the best version of Cyberpunk 2077 on that box. This is huge. This is really huge, because Microsoft, we understand, look, they got the marketing rights. We understand that. That's great. That's cool. And, and this could be a reason as to, what some of the benefits of that partnership could be. Look, we got the marketing rights with you guys. This would be great if you guys did this for us in Cyberpunk or CD Projekt Red. They said, you know what? Cool. We'll do that. This is just fantastic. Microsoft, you're being very, very aggressive out here in these gaming streets, man. Shout out to you guys. This is the Microsoft that I have been waiting years to see in action. And finally, they are giving me hope. Phil Spencer, I applaud you, sir. This is all the Xbox guys have been asking for. And right now, for the first time in a long time, Microsoft is playing offense. And Sony has to play defense. This is great. I mean, look, I don't want to harp on this. We are 47 minutes in, and I got so many other things to cover, but I just had to talk about this. Man, let's go ahead and move on. But god dang, what a great time. Man, it made for a great week for me. But let's move on. So, even though, oh man, my voice is getting hoarse as a mother, brother. Let me wipe my brow. God dang, I'm sweating. All right. So even though the PlayStation 5, oh man, has not been, revealed, and we haven't had any new info, a new patent has surfaced from Sony, and it sounds really dope. I gotta give them credit for this patent, man. Now, so possibly, if this patent comes to fruition, Sony's PlayStation 5 controller could come with a built-in sweat and heart rate sensor that could be used for biofeedback. So according to the document, the controller will have a combination of detectors that could be used to assess how the user is feeling. Now, the patent document goes into further detail, saying that in certain levels of a horror game, it could be toned down to keep players nervous but not terrified to the point where they stop playing. Now this is the thing. I might not have read that too well because I'm still trying to calm down a little bit. Good grief. When I get excited, I don't really enunciate my words right, and I start slurring and whatnot, man. Good grief. I'm having a mini heart attack over here. But the thing is, this PlayStation 5 controller, if it is real, this is a really cool thing, because you guys might remember years ago, back during it might have been the Wii days, I believe. I don't think it was the Wii U, but the Wii days, I think it was Satoru Iwata. He had got up on stage and he had showed that they had this sensor that was clipped onto his finger, I think his fingertip, that was supposed to do something with the heart rate or show the vitals or something. But we know that didn't come to fruition. We heard about it that one time and then it disappeared. So it looks like that Sony is going somewhat down that same road, but instead of having an actual sensor on your finger, they're having this built-in technology where how dope would that be though? If you're playing a VR game and you have the controller in your hand and man, I mean, you're really getting tense and your hands are starting to like kind of, tighten up on the controller. It's starting to sense that your heart rate is starting to pump and, you're starting to sweat and whatnot, getting into a nervous energy. It can actually tone the game down. But what I thought about was, what if you put the game on the highest difficulty where you just want all of the smoke? You want anything bad that could happen in the game to happen. So you put it on that highest difficulty and instead of the controller actually backing off and making it so, the situation gets a little more tolerable. Let's say that instead it has the reverse effect where you got it on the hardest difficulty and the more your heart starts to pump, the more you start to sweat, the more intense the game gets as you go. I mean, look, this is what I was thinking. I'm like, man, that is real interactivity right there. That is the kind of innovation that I want to see with controllers, with the gaming industry. Nintendo pushed the controllers forward by leaps and bounds when they added the haptic feedback. But now it's time to take it to another level. And if this is the case, like I said, this is a patent right now. We know that not all patents get picked up and actually put into production. But if they do this, that is a win for Sony. That could mean so many different things for that console. Let's move on to the next story. So let's switch over to Resident Evil. Now we just got some very exciting news from the official Resident Evil Twitter account that said, and I quote, "It was written in the stars. A Resident Evil 3 demo is on the way. We'll have more details in the near future." End of quote. Ooh, Capcom, you son of a guts. This is so dope because I remember last year, when did Resident Evil 2 Remake come out? Was that February or March? I forget when it came out. But I remember I wasn't even all that like super stoked. I was like, man, the game looks actually like very beautiful. This RE engine is just popping off the page. It's popping off the screen. It looks so great. But I wasn't just so uberly excited, because I played the Resident Evil 2 back on the original PlayStation, I believe it was. And it was phenomenal for the time. But I was like, man, I've already done that, been through that. No need to go through it again. But it wasn't until I played that demo. That demo made a believer out of me. So much so that I think like 2 weeks later, after the game came out, I went down to Best Buy and I picked it up. It was just that great. It was so impressive. So for them to actually do the same thing that they did before, to actually bring out this Resident Evil 3 demo, because I don't think 3 got the same level of love as 2. 3 is one that I didn't even play. Well, no, I played it, messed around with it for a little while, and I was like, nah. I don't like it. Capcom. So I dropped it. But with that being said, I mean, this RE engine is freaking phenomenal. So, I mean, the game looks beautiful. It looks fantastic. So, to get my hands on it, when this demo was released, unfortunately, no release date was given. But like they said, they'll have more details in the near future. Hopefully, it won't be too far off because it is March. It comes out next month. I'm hoping maybe sometime in the middle of this month, it'll be released. But who knows? But I say that to say that, this could definitely change the tide for me again, where I play the game and I'm like, man, I wasn't that high on it at first, and sit down with it and play it like, oh, you know what? gotta get this one too. So shout out to Capcom. Those guys have been doing everything correct. They've been on a phenomenal run right now, and shout out to them, man. They've been making some fantastic games lately. Man, what a way to turn the ship around. But let's move on. So, do you guys remember this next story right here? Ooh, man. Do you guys remember a few months ago that Horizon Zero Dawn, it was rumored to be coming to PC, but a ton of people were saying that would never happen. Sony has no reason to do it. Sony has 108 million consoles out there, over 1 billion pieces of software sold. What the heck are they gonna put it on PC for? Well, when there's smoke, it's usually fire, because Amazon France is listing the game as a product, with Sony being the publisher. I mean, look, we keep on hearing here and there. What's his name? Jason Schreier talking about that he's heard word that the game is coming out on the PC. This is a rumor that is not going away. And the thing about it that is the most alarming for people who don't want it to be true is Sony is not coming out and denying these claims. This rumor has been floating around for quite some time. I'm not going to say months on top of months, but it's been a nice amount of time where I'm sure word has gotten back to Sony where people are like, hey, is this really coming to PC? And just the fact that Jim Ryan or nobody on the Sony team is coming out and saying, nah, man, come on, that's fake. That's not real. Why would we do that? No, nobody is saying that. People forget that Jim Ryan himself, he said that it was no need to, well, not a need, but he said that people wouldn't need a PlayStation to be able to experience these different games on the these different games. You don't need a PlayStation. I'm all tongue-tied today. Pardon me. Man, but he basically said you don't need the console to be able to experience these games. He said that they're going to be looking into other ways of how people can consume their entertainment, their games. So that tells you right there that this could possibly be the case. Horizon Zero Dawn might be coming to PC. Nothing has been confirmed yet, but we will have to wait and see. And I think that it's going to happen very soon. Some people thought it was going to happen a couple of days ago because Horizon Zero Dawn had got released a couple days ago in February, and they thought it was going to happen on its anniversary, but it didn't. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in the very near future. So, all of us are aware that next gen is right up the street, and this amazing tech that I just applauded all over the place, and the new consoles will be put to great use. But not everyone is in such a hurry to abandon this current gen. Now, Square Enix president, I hope I say this gentleman's name right, Yosuke Matsuda, had this to say during an investors Q&A, and I quote, "The next generation of consoles will have backward compatibility, so we plan for the time being to make our new titles available for both current and next generation consoles. It will therefore be somewhat further down the road that we release titles exclusively for the next generation consoles." End of quote. So Xbox Series X, they have the smart delivery system to help with this, and that is what I'm so excited about. Look, Square Enix is smart. This generation, you have over 150 million install base. Next generation starts up, you're gonna have a few million. So it just doesn't make financial sense to just jump ship right away into the new consoles. You gotta wait until those numbers start to build up, their bases get bigger, and then all of a sudden when it makes sense, then you jump over because you can the income can be supplemented by the user base over there. But the thing, once again, that excites me now, this information that we're getting, this smart delivery system from Microsoft, we don't know if Sony is going to have this system or not. So I'm not saying they won't, but knowing that Microsoft has it, like they said, like Square Enix, like their president, he said that these next generation consoles are going to have backwards compatibility. So it just makes sense that they wouldn't jump ship. Now, let's say Square Enix is like, okay, cool. Look, they got the backwards compatibility. They have the smart delivery system. Let's just add some of the extra features, the better frame rate, the better resolution, all of that stuff onto the Series X, because didn't Phil just say that it wouldn't take much or take anything from the developer to be able to do this? They would be able to do it seamlessly. I might have read that wrong, but that's what it seemed like. They would be able to do this, but they're not putting a mandate on third party that they have to do this. So this would just be amazing. If they did decide to do it this way, that would be awesome, but we will have to see. But nonetheless, these guys are just going to stick with this generation, ride it out, and eventually when it makes sense, then they'll be making the games exclusively for the 9th generation that is coming up. Let's move on. God dang, we had an hour already. Oh, man. Ah, boy. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We gonna keep on chewing, keep the train going choo-choo. Let's go ahead now. And more Microsoft news. It looks like they will not be attending GDC because of fears of the coronavirus. Now, the announcement comes from the GameStack blog that says, and I quote, after a close review of guidance by global health authorities and out of an abundance of caution, we've made the difficult decision to withdraw from participating at Game Developers Conference 2020 in San Francisco. The health and safety of players, developers, employees, and our partners around the world is our top priority. End of quote. So not only did Microsoft pull out, they had actually, word has already come down, the GDC has been postponed until another day, a week, or month. I don't know when it's going to happen, but looks like the coronavirus, it's serious. I mean, it's definitely here on state. I mean, in the United States, on the shores, not the shores, but on the land, actually, where they have somebody who I think just died in Washington State, I believe, just a day or two ago. They had some cases in California. It was one man over in Boston, Massachusetts, which, oh crap, I gotta go up there tonight. Oh, shucks. I just thought of that. Oh, shucks. I gotta go up to Massachusetts. Oh, Lord. But, it's quite a few cases that are happening here in the States. So it does make sense that, hitting that close to home, especially being in Washington State. I think that's where Microsoft is located. Am I right? Oh, shoot. But anyway, I'm harping on this way too long. They ain't gonna be there. Nobody's gonna be there because it's canceled for the time being. Let's move on. So, last year, we got the first episode of The Dark Pictures, Man of Medan, which is by Supermassive Games. And that's the team behind Until Dawn, which was one of my absolute favorite games this generation. I freaking loved it. You should check it out if you can. Well, we got word that Chapter 2, which is entitled Little Hope, will be releasing in the summer of this year. So the story behind Little Hope is there are 4 college students along with their professor who are trapped by an impenetrable fog. Reading brothers and sisters is fundamental. Please learn from me. Good gosh, gotta get these words right. But, and they have to escape the nightmarish visions. Now the nightmarish visions that are God dang, I didn't just frick this all up. Man, should I start over? I'm not, man. I'm gonna just keep on moving on. It's this nightmarish vision that are pursuing them. Now, you will be able to play the game alone or partner with someone for co-op play. Now, to search the town and discover what is happening and how it's connected to them. Listen, man, in short, brothers, man, it sounds very scary. Man, it sounds like y'all gonna be in an impenetrable fog. I know I said the name wrong, impenetrable fog or whatever. And it's gonna be a hard time, man. Y'all in a small town, look like things get real rough for you. But you can play the game solo or you can play it co-op. So I'm really excited about this. I know I'm making light of it because I did mess up this whole thing, but I'm really pumped up for this. I actually just love Supermassive. I think graphically their games look phenomenal. I think their stories are great. Just like I said, it's like Batman, the Telltale series. It's not fully playable, but it's like very narrative heavy. So I love those kind of games, and hopefully this will be a game that you guys want to check out. And if it is, once again, like I said, it'll be out during the summer. Now let's move on. Now with my excitement, like I said, I'm pretty pumped up for Resident Evil Remake. At a pretty high level. The success that Capcom has been having lately, I had high hopes that maybe this remake trend would trickle down even more through some of Capcom's older IPs, particularly Dino Crisis. Well, according to a report from a reliable source called Asiatic Gamer, he said, and I quote, "A Dino Crisis game actually was started a few years ago, but it was scrapped and buried, and the franchise for now is still extinct for the time being." And to twist the knife a little more deeper into my side, he added on a Twitter post, quote, "Code Veronica Remake is not in production right now, not even in pre-production," end of quote. God dang. So we know that a ton of us. Dino Crisis, once again, PlayStation game, similar kind of like Resident Evil, just with dinosaurs and whatnot. Actually it was a game that I never played. Dino Crisis, saw it, thought it was a dope looking game, never gave it a shot. But when I heard these rumblings that it could be a remake coming, a remake happening, I looked at it like, shoot, this will be my first time being able to experience it. And what better way to experience a cult classic like Dino Crisis on better hardware, having these dinosaurs coming at you and, putting you in all of these different situations that can be a little terrifying. So I, for one, was excited, but hearing this report, doesn't look like it's happening, look like it's been scrapped and buried, and like the guy said, it's extinct at the moment. So, man, for people that were looking forward to this, unfortunately, it is a no-go. And like I said, Code Veronica, fantastic Dreamcast game. God dog, the game was awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was great. I would have loved to have seen that to have gotten a remake, but unfortunately, not even that's coming out. So, we'll have to wait and see. Doesn't mean it couldn't happen, but, we know that Resident Evil 8 is coming out eventually, and I'm sure Capcom is hard at work at that. So we'll have to wait and see what happens after Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 8. So let's move on to, a quick news story for a change. The Wonderful 101 will release on May 19th for the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 for $39.99. They also said that they tuned the controls for each new platform as well as improving the image quality and frame rate. I'm kind of excited for this. I think the Wonderful 101 came out on the Wii U, I believe, and we know that system didn't do very well. So I've heard that it's a pretty good game, and for $40, I might give it a shot, see what it's about. Looks pretty cool. It actually reminds me that the main character, he kind of looks like Beautiful Joe. I don't know if you guys remember Beautiful Joe. Oh my gosh. Really quickly, I forget the director's name. I can't remember him. He's over at Platinum Games. He did some kind of show over the weekend or this week earlier, where he was saying that people that want these remakes or a new Beautiful Joe, just email Capcom and let them know what you want. And he brought up a lot of older franchises, but Beautiful Joe was the one that stuck out to me because I remember, shout out to Jeremy, what's up, brother? I remember when he had sold me his GameCube, Beautiful Joe was one of the games that came with the GameCube. And I was like, man, I don't want to play no Beautiful Joe. I ain't never heard of this guy right here. What the heck is Beautiful Joe? And I remember popping that game, man. Oh, it was so awesome. It was so great, man. It was so amazing. So for anybody that wants Beautiful Joe or Kami 2, there was another game he mentioned, which was beautiful with the watercolors. Another, was that PS2 or was that 3? I can't remember when Akami came out. But anybody that wants those games, just on a side note, email Capcom, let them know you want them. But just know that the emails aren't going to get us Dino Crisis and Code Veronica right now, man. But 101, excited about it. Know a lot of people were. So yeah, May 19th. But let's move on. So this just in. It looks like, according to a NeoGAF leaker, oh man, we gonna be talking about the PlayStation right now. But it looks like, according to a NeoGAF leaker called VFX Veteran, Sony, oh shoot, man, oh man, Sony is working on a PlayStation 5 Pro already. And the reasoning for this is, quote, so that these consoles can run the entire 7-year cycle, end of quote. Now, he continues to say, and I quote, I should have just kept on talking. He said, my guess is they are going to release both models at the same time, and the price on the high-end versions of the PlayStation 5 console could be around $600. Now, this is the thing, guys. Look, listen, of course, the question of the week was, should these mid-gen upgrades continue? Most of you guys were okay with it. Overall, it's like, look, they going down this road. Look, let's just go with it. We get better frames. We benefit. I get it. But man, I have a bit of a problem with this. Now, you guys did follow this stuff because only the hardcore are here, listening and talking to me, interacting. We all know that PlayStation has been so quiet lately. And all of a sudden, now we get the specs of the Xbox Series X, and you just got some guys out there that just don't like Microsoft. I don't understand the hate. But it's people out there that just don't like them. So all of a sudden, Microsoft, Phil Spencer, it's no longer he said, she said. This is the real deal specs. Say no NeoGAF people, this is it. We get the real specs now. All of a sudden, those 9.2 teraflops, guess what? That is for the base model of the PlayStation 5. But the PlayStation 5 Pro, oh yeah, that's gonna have 12 teraflops. That's why it's such a big difference in power. That's what happened. Now I'm saying to myself, golly. It was already reports from Bloomberg, which is not just a little rinky-dink place. Bloomberg is really official. They were saying that the system, they were already having a hard time getting the price down to what would be, I guess, a comfortable price. They were saying $450 all the way up to like $470 for the console. And basically meaning that more than likely it's going to sell for $500. It was never a thought that the PlayStation 5 was going to have a pro version. Granted, on the Xbox side, it was always rumblings of the lesser powerful console, which is escaping my mind at the minute, the name of it. I think it was called Lockhart. The Lockhart. It's always been there. I didn't think it was a great idea, but it's been something we've been hearing about. And now all of a sudden it's like, nah. That's just the regular specs. I don't know if that's true. I just don't know. If this console is already allegedly costing Sony $450, almost $500. I mean, a 12 teraflop machine. God dang it. How much do you think that's gonna run? And I'm not saying this like Microsoft isn't gonna run into the same problem. What I'm saying is that we've just heard only this problem coming from Sony's side. I'm not saying that the Xbox Series X isn't going to be $600, but these guys are putting it on Sony saying, man, they're having a hard time getting that price down. And we know that's how Sony operates. They usually try to undercut the competition. That's how they do it. And I mean, it's amazing. The tactic is fantastic. But you mean to tell me that they have a 12 teraflop console in the works and it's going to be $600, maybe $700? I don't know. I don't know if that's even real, if it even makes sense. That your base console could start at $500. That's the thing. It could start at $500. And then the Microsoft with their Lockhart, when I just go over and look at Digital Foundry, they just did a test on a 4.3 or 4.2 teraflop machine with somewhat, what is it? Not quite 1-to-1 with the Lockhart because nobody knows what the specs are, but they did go out there and they tried to show what it could possibly be. And it was running pretty darn good. And I mean, they're saying that that's going to be between $300 and $400 if they release that. It just doesn't make sense, man. I don't know, brothers, but y'all tell me, do you think the PlayStation 4 Pro is real? I don't know. Anyway, man, that is the end of the gaming news this week. Man, we had an hour and 16 minutes. I'll be daggone, brothers. Man, let me go ahead, brothers. Let's get into the question of the week. I know y'all saw it when y'all clicked on the podcast, and I appreciate y'all listeners out there. Thank y'all so much for the support. But I want to officially ask you guys the question: will the Series X impact PC sales? Now, hear me out. Now, I just went online a little while ago. I looked up an Alienware PC. Now, granted, I know Alienwares are expensive. I understand that. But I saw this Alienware had a 2060 in it, and it had, I think, a 2 terabyte hard drive, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and they wanted $1,520 for this machine. Now, you mean to tell me, and let's keep it strictly on gaming, you mean to tell me I can get a console for $500 to $600 that is doing better, that according to, once again, PC Gamer, they are saying that the tech in the Xbox Series X is faster than a GeForce RTX 2080 Super? Then I have to believe that the average PC gamer, because let's not make any mistake about it, it was already said that this console is going to be better than like 80% of the people's PCs out there right now. That was what an article said. 80%. Not everybody has a 2080. Not everybody has a darn sure don't have a 2080 Ti. So all of these PC guys that are saying I can do this, I can do that, this stuff is expensive. And you mean to tell me that a console comes around that is on par with a 2080 Super for half of the price? You daggone right. I'm going to get that instead of a PC. Now, lately, people have been pushing the envelope. Well, I can do this on the PC. I can do that on the PC. I can't do that on the console. I can't stream on the console. I'm like, well, you can. They're saying I can't do audio production, or I can't do video production on the console. So why would I get a console? I'm like, okay, I get that. We are strictly talking about gaming. Nothing more, nothing less. And then for the people out there that want to say, well, why are you bringing up the Series X? How do you know the PlayStation isn't going to turn people away from PC? We don't know anything about the PlayStation 5. We have no idea. And you have people out there that are taking up for Sony, saying that they don't need to report anything. They don't need to tell us what's going on with the PlayStation 5. They can wait and wait and wait, because we're not getting the console until November. So it doesn't make a difference what Sony says. You're not going to get the console until it's time to release. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? This whole generation, we have got on Microsoft about not being aggressive, about not telling us what they're doing, about just not out there telling us what the product is. The Series X, they didn't really do a whole lot of marketing with that. They didn't tell us why we really needed that console. They put it out there. It felt like a soft launch. It never seemed like the marketing ever got fully behind the X. Everybody looked at it and was like, man, who cares? They never marketed it. But now you have them out there talking about the Series X, talking about the features, talking about how powerful it is. And all of a sudden, it doesn't matter that Sony isn't doing the same thing. Let's take a trip down memory lane 7 years ago, almost to the date. In February, 7 years ago, Sony was out there talking about the PlayStation 4, and I mean, they were laying it on thick at that event. They were out there telling us why we need this console. They had an amazing energy. They had just wiped the floor with Microsoft. That whole time, that whole lead up to that E3, they were doing everything. This is how you trade games. I mean, they were out there. Then all of a sudden, it's the roles have reversed, and it's like Sony is fine. They're okay. They're in first place. What are they worried about Microsoft for? They're a distant third, according to them, and they aren't a threat. People forget. The PlayStation 4's era is coming to an end. 8th generation is wrapping up this year. Not officially wrapping up, but we're about to change focus onto these next-gen consoles. You mean to tell me you don't want to know what Sony has coming down the pipeline? It's okay to sit and wait on your hands and be entirely okay with Sony being quiet? People want to act like Sony being quiet is a good thing. And say, no. They're not worried about it. That's why they're quiet, because they have a big 1-2 punch in the chamber for Microsoft. They're going to be more powerful. They're going to have the better games. And I'm saying to myself, they have new leadership. Let's not forget, a lot of the people that were there, they are gone right now. So it's an entirely new regime in there. People act like this didn't happen. Like Jim Ryan isn't really there. I mean, they act like it's the same people that made the PlayStation 4 as great as it was this generation. It was beautiful. It was amazing. But now all of a sudden, these same people are saying it's okay to wait for Sony. God dang. Man, I sure hope Sony comes out here. It's March and give us something to get us excited about, because usually when a company is quiet like this says to me that you are unsure. This is how you get rumors about the PlayStation 5 Pro being a thing, because you are not out there steering the narrative. You have people out there, fanboys out there, trying to steer the narrative instead of coming out and telling us what's what. Anyway, the question once again is, will the Series X impact gaming PC sales? Couldn't even get it off. God dang. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell. Man, we had an hour and 23 minutes. Good grief. I'm so sorry. I apologize. But as always, you can be a part of this section, the feedback section, two different ways. Either write in at the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com, or you can call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard. Now, before we get out of here, guys, I want to once again shout out to the brothers that were in the feedback section this week. Want to shout out to Vaughn. Thank you so much for the voicemail. I want to shout out to Free Fly Ferret. It was so great hearing from you, brother. I want to shout out Mike J. Again, thank you so much for the email and everything that you do, man. And thanks again to Cody Clark for sending me that information that had me on cloud nine all day long. So anyway, before we get out of here, I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So until next week, when we do it again, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.